The journey begins. I'm on my way. It's just after 9:30 in the morning. It took me about an hour and a half to get here. Here is the Toyota Hilux that I'm picking up. This is what I'm going to drive all the way to Ukraine. I already know before I get in that I'm going to have to get some petrol pretty quick. It's only got a quarter of a tank in petrol, but that's okay. We're going to have to fill it up along the way, and that's exactly why any donation is important. €1, $1, $1 Canadian, $1 New Zealand dollar, anything you have to spare, Japanese yen, even Bitcoin. So I've just filled up in a petrol station just on the edge of Orpington. I spent roughly £75. Not cheap. So any pounds, dollars, you name it, if you can support, it goes a long way. Just for getting this car over there. I'm not sponsored. There's no sponsorship here. So if any company is willing to sponsor, you can reach out and you can get some money that helps with this cause. I'm looking forward to the drive to Dover now. I'm heading to Dover. Who knows what I'm going to see? Am I going to see the UK equivalent to the invasion as I get to Dover? Who knows? The important thing is we get this vehicle to Ukraine. Bear with me and let's go.
Autos, is it still RW Autos or is that an old sign? Is it a ghost sign?
I'm on my way to Dover. Dover is where I will take the ferry to get to Calais, France, and from France I will be driving across the continent to get to Ukraine. Now it's important to understand the costs involved in this. £75 filled the tank with diesel, but it's probably only got about 400 miles on the clock, and who knows how efficient this is. So far I don't notice any leaks. So far so good. I'm going to be trying to drive as economically as possible, so keeping it at a reasonably low speed, probably around about 65, 70 max, because one, I don't want to get a ticket, two, I want to try to preserve as much petrol as possible, and I want the money to go to actually paying for this car. I had to buy insurance today, just one day insurance just to have it in this country. We've got the insurance for the continent. I'm not being paid for this, okay? I'm not being paid. So every single time you donate, it goes directly to the charity, it goes directly to pay for this car, it goes directly to get that car into the hands of those brave men who are far braver than you and I, because they are the ones facing the tyranny of the Russian invaders. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not here to hate on the Russians. I very much dislike Putin, but I'm not going to hate on the Russian people. Those who partake in the war, those Russians that choose to go to the front, yes, they are in the wrong, but some of them don't even have a choice. They've been conscripted. They're prisoners. They've been taken to the front. Some of them are actually third world migrants who've come to Russia looking for work, and they've been sending Indians to the front, North Koreans to the front. That's how desperate Putin is to win this war. But with machines like this, where these will help rescue frontline soldiers, this is how we will be helping with the war effort. Now, I understand you will have Ukraine fatigue. We all have Ukraine fatigue. 4 years the war has been going on, and 2022 the war started. Back then it would have been easy to raise money because everyone was behind it. But since then the cost of living has gone up, prices have gone up. We had the Nord Stream pipeline get blown up thanks to our friends in America, Norway, and probably thanks to some Ukrainians that actually blew up that pipeline, causing the price of gas to go up across Europe. But we should not point the finger at the Ukrainians, and certainly not point the finger at the Ukrainian soldiers, because it's not their fault. Those men between 16 and 65 who can't leave the country, they're the ones we're supporting. They're the ones that have been sent to the meat grinder. I would like to see this war end tomorrow. I'd like to see this war end before this car even gets there. If you can support in any way, then click the donation button. As I sit and wait to board the ferry at Dover to take me to Calais, France, I am still plagued by the problem that is Ukraine fatigue. And it is not because of the way that Ukrainian refugees have behaved in Europe. Most of them, probably 99% of them, have behaved phenomenally well. And if you compare the average Ukrainian refugee to the hordes of so-called refugees that have come into Europe from elsewhere, they have been saints in comparison. And the difference has also been I think it's something like 85 to 90% of the refugees have been women and children. That's the fundamental difference. Every country has their arms open for women and children. When it comes to welcoming men like myself or men of my age, then the standard, and it has been for generations, has been the men stay and fight. The men have to fight. And that is probably why Europe has fatigue right now, because the swaves and swaves of new arrivals that aren't Ukrainian are men. They're fighting age men, and Europeans are wondering why they are having to take the burden of those men. The Europeans are wondering why their neighborhoods changed because of these men, and Europeans are wondering why their mothers, their daughters, their sisters are now less safe walking the streets, less safe going to school, less safe being at university, and less safe in what is their home because of the choices made by corrupt politicians who govern over Western democracies. And that is probably why most of us who are burnt out from working, burnt out from paying bills, burnt out from a lower standard of living from what it was 10 years ago, have this Ukrainian fatigue. But you've got to remember, it's not the Ukrainians that did that to you. It is your leaders that did that to you. The Ukrainians didn't ask to be invaded. The Ukrainians didn't put a foot on Russian soil. That is the fundamental difference. I will talk about the conflict between 2014 and 2022 in a later video, so stay tuned for that, because I have covered it in previous videos. But there's a lot to talk about there, especially if you're unfamiliar with what happened between 2014 and 2022. I think it's important. I think it's super important to go over that. But in the meantime, it looks like I'm going to be boarding now, so I have no idea where I'm staying. I have no idea where I'm staying this evening. I've said to myself I will drive a reasonable amount of distance and try to stop at a place that I've never been to before. There's not many places like that in Europe these days. I've been to every country in Europe, but I haven't been to every little village or town. So there's still options. And I also want to make sure that when I get there, I have an opportunity just to have a look around, and I also have an opportunity to edit into the evening, and then I repeat that every single day until I get to Ukraine. Because look, there's no one in the car with me, so there's no one editing my reels as I'm sat here. No one's pointing a camera at my face, creating that magnificent content, going, all right, so we're gonna edit this now. No one's doing that. That's just me, okay? So I have to sit down and make those edits on my computer for the YouTube videos. It looks like we're a bit ready to go.
Independent making look things outside the broadcasting look completely crazy, wacky.
So here I am on the ferry. It's actually a really nice ferry. We've had a bit of an upgrade on this ferry. This is P&O ferries. I have to say I haven't been on a P&O ferry in many years, and it's definitely had an upgrade since then. This is the moment where I'm trying to calculate how far I should drive into France. Maybe I'll even get to Germany, I don't know. It depends on traffic, and also try to work out where I'm staying. Now, I'm trying to keep it as low cost as possible. So it'll probably be some Liege or some motel or something, or whatever's available. Probably the French equivalent to a travel lodge or something, but nothing glamorous on this journey. And that's where this will get edited. podcast at the ready. Winston Marshall on in the background. What do you think of that guy? So the ferry's just arrived. I'm going to be disembarking in Calais, so I'm heading east, and I'll see how far I can go. We have just entered Belgium. Very, very flat country, Belgium. Wonderful country. It gets a bit of a hard time from people like Jeremy Clarkson. He likes to take the piss out of Belgium.
Is it better to be a penguin or a Belgian?
No, there's a penguin.
A penguin?
Oh, penguin, yeah. Yeah, penguin.
Simply for the fact that it's very, very flat, straight roads. Not much to report. The cities are beautiful. You go to Bruges, you go to Brussels, really, really fantastic cities. I'm a fan of Belgium. I'm a fan of their food. I'm a fan of their chocolates, their beer. The beer is the big selling point for me. The beer is phenomenally good in Belgium. Traffic's been all right. Came out of Calais, bit of roadworks coming out, a small detour. I had the first rain of the day. You know, I heard the weather's pretty bad on this route, but there was a heavy downpour. Early bits of France, but into Belgium, it's very calm. I am still unsure about where I'm staying tonight. I think in the next 30 minutes I'm going to pull over and I'm going to look at Google Maps and find a hotel maybe an hour up the road. I think that would be the wise thing. I want to get to Ukraine quickly, but at the same time I would like to stop in a couple of places just to appreciate, you know, where we are. We're in beautiful Europe, the greatest continent on this planet. Every continent has something to offer, but Europe is, in my opinion, has the greatest history, the greatest culture, the greatest food. I know I'm biased, but it's okay to be biased. You can say that if you're South American. You can say South America is the greatest continent. I'm European, so I'll say Europe is the greatest continent. Yes, I'm going to try and find a place to stay. I'm trying to keep the costs down because, you know, what's the point of spending money when it's just me? Just me here. So watch this space. Let's see where we go.
The Lord's blocking the will of the people. Must know what they're doing, and they're participating in creating the setting for serious civil unrest. They are. So I don't think
The best thing about travelling across Europe, you get to sample some of the delights. But one thing I love about Belgium is these croquettes, the beef croquettes over here. Is like the bitterballen and the croquettes. Frankly, it's clean in English sausage rolls. Pretty good croissants. I think, what shall I have? I love the bitterballen. That's what I'm going to have.
Because it's illegal to criticise it. There's no challenging of ideas.
That is a lot of flowers for Valentine's Day. That is a lot of them. So I made the decision, maybe a bad decision, to get a small hotel in Liege. Now, Liege, when I made that decision, was over 2 hours away, and it's been dark for quite a long time. Gone past Bruges, gone past Brussels, on my way to Liege, which is effectively eastern Belgium. Got myself a coffee. I had to stop. I was starting to yawn. I've been on the go since 7 a.m. It's now close to 8 p.m. It's taken me that long to get only that far. So I got myself coffee and a croquette again. You can see that it's cold. It's suddenly got cold. It was quite a nice day until now. Now it's cold. Anyway, here's the beast. I took my bag with me. I just didn't want anyone nabbing my bag. So onwards. Should be at the hotel in about 1 hour, I hope.
Benchmark, like a common test, which was Will Smith eating spaghetti.
Okay, so I got stuck in a lot of traffic. There was a lot of queuing. I am 39 minutes from my destination. When I last updated you, it was about an hour and a half ago, maybe a little bit longer. I need to speak. I need to speak just to stay awake now. The coffee doesn't seem to be working. So the lesson is for tomorrow, I'm not going to drive as late. I'm going to basically make sure that I drive park before sunset. That way I get to see wherever I stop. I don't know how much editing I'm going to get to do tonight, because that's the plan. The plan is to edit. But this is helping. This is helping. The fact that I can now talk to someone suddenly just jolts the brain into action. So over the course of the day, I've listened to a number of podcasts. I don't know if you guys are fans of podcasts. I tend to get my podcasts on YouTube, effectively. I imagine most of you are watching YouTube, so that's a great place to get podcasts. I've just listened to McCornack. He's this entrepreneur. I think he owns a football club in England, and he's always interviewing quite interesting guests. Today he was interviewing a guy that's predicting AI will annihilate us in a similar standard as, well, the Terminator movies predicted. But the debate is, will AI go down the Terminator route, or will it go down the iRobot route, or the Ready Player One route, or the Matrix route? I have a feeling, and I've spoken about this before on previous videos, that despite the fact that we can hurt ourselves and unfortunately also kill ourselves, and God forbid that happens on this journey, I am almost convinced now that we might be in a simulation. And if we're not in a simulation, there's a lot that doesn't add up for us not being in a simulation. On previous videos, I've spoken about the double slit experiment. The double slit experiment effectively shows that through the power of observation, you can impact reality. If you choose not to observe the particles going through the double slit, then it's completely random in where they land. It's almost like they're rendering. But if you choose to watch the double slit experiment, be it via a video camera or your own eyes, the particles go in as you'd expect in a slit pattern. It's fascinating. Although I have a feeling I spoke about this. Yeah, I did. I spoke about this when I was in Taiwan, and that video is not out. So stay tuned if you want to watch. I'm going to give a lot of insight into simulation theory when I release my Taiwan series. So that's something to stay tuned for. But the reason to release this before that is because this is obviously more pressing. I tend to release videos when they are current. So for example, if it's a museum about a monument, that monument's not going anywhere, so I can take my time releasing that. But if it's a video about a current moment that is changing from day to day, then it's relevant. So that would be the protest videos. That would be, unfortunately, the Ukraine war. That would be when a politician does something. This channel obviously is not just travel, it's politics, as many of you will know. The other podcast, Leige Cunningham. Anyone know who that is? Leige Cunningham. She is the London mayoral candidate for the Reform Party. I was listening to I think it was a podcast that she was on. It just came on. I hadn't selected it. It just sort of came on. She was getting Q&A, from what I understand, with students. Now, she's a very well-spoken individual, but I just don't rate her as a candidate. She seems to think that because 9% of the UK is built upon, that it gives us the right to build over the rest of it. Now, my battery's flashing. I think I'm almost at 5%, so I'm going to have to cut this off very soon, but already I stand against her. I don't want my green and pleasant land bulldozed. If you want to bring down house prices, if you want to bring down rents, and you want to make housing more available, the secret is not to build more houses. The secret is to stop letting in millions and millions of people every year. That's what's pushing up house prices. Anyway, rant's over. Thank you for keeping me awake. It's another 34 minutes, and hopefully the next update will be when I reach the hotel. The other podcasts, maybe I'll talk about them later. Let me know in the comments if that's something you want to hear about. Well, I've just parked up on the edge of Liege, a city I don't think I've ever been to before. Forgive me, family, if you took me here when I was younger. I don't recall. Maybe I'll pop into Liege and I'll be like, oh yeah, I have a memory of this, but I don't think I've been here. The vehicle performed really well. The Toyota Hilux is a decent car. Pleased with it. And now I'm going to go find my accommodation. Remember, I will be trying to produce a video like this every day until I get to my destination. And then I'll also be producing some Ukrainian content when I'm inside Ukraine. So if you can sponsor in any way, in any capacity, there's a link in the description. You'll basically be helping saving lives. You'll be helping injured soldiers get medical aid, and you'll be helping in the effort to defeat the invaders of Ukraine. Please don't be despondent. They deserve a free country just like you and I. Anyway, until next time, keep progressing, keep wandering, and Slava Ukraini.